Hey guys, alright, so it's Jennifer here, obviously. So yesterday, the secret report that was never supposed to be seen by public came out by Admiral Fort, Rear Admiral Fort, that did some investigating right after the incident with the Fitzgerald collision. And if you have not seen my older videos about this, I'll put them at the end of this so you can kind of catch up. But they really screwed up in this report. You know, if you've been following this, you know that they've screwed up multiple times. And unfortunately, that's how come, like with the USS Mccain, we weren't able to get as much screw-ups because they learned from their mistake, but they're still trying to cover up their mistakes from this one. And essentially, it's still exactly as I said back in, February of last year, or January. But this report, unknowingly, I don't think that they realize that people really are looking at this. That's actually my question. Why did they put this secret report out? Well, they're trying to cover up something, because otherwise it's still stupid. Why didn't they just leave it alone? Why didn't they just leave it alone? Well, I'm glad they keep screwing up, although it hurts me to have to call out the very branch that I served with, but it also makes me feel good for the sailors that were affected by this that can't speak out because they had to sign non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, which has never happened with any other situation. So let's get on to the report. Actually, I want to show you the inconsistencies up till now that we already have. And then we're going to get onto this report, because they screwed this up so bad, it's good. I hope, some of the family will watch this. I know that they've been scattered out around the fleet, so it's hard to really connect with any of them. But let's roll that. So this is the ACX Crystal and the path that they took. This isn't a normal route of any ship, ever. So, and besides that, the AIS system is not correct, but yeah. Okay, so now that you're all caught up with the shenanigans that went on and the very, very inconsistent situations that went down that they continuously try to cover, let's get on to this report. So, while I was combing through this report, I found a very interesting sentence, paragraph, whatever. I'll put it right here. So they are saying at Rear Admiral Fort, whatever, went into CIC and there was a rancid smell of urine, and pee bottles all around CIC. CIC is a very integral part of the ship's command center, and there's only one reason that this would happen. Only one. I've gone through any other situation. There's none. There's only one. The only one is that this ship, like I said in February, was boarded. By who? That's still undetermined. Obviously, I feel that it was the very people that we were in the South China Sea, so it was obviously probably the Chinese. But I'm not, that's just jumping to conclusions. Well, not really, but because here's the thing. They want to paint a picture of these sailors being completely untrained, everything, just like completely sloppy. They don't do any of their work correctly. They are just a hot mess. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how they contradict their own selves if you just go to their Facebook page. Because you can look at pictures from prior to the incident and find that this crew was very trained. I mean, of course, every crew has, you know, your dirtbags is what we would call them. You know, your people that didn't do what they were supposed to. But this ship couldn't get underway with the way that they are making these sailors look. Like, they would be dead in the water at all times. And that was not the case at all. Yes, the 7th Fleet has had issues. I'm not saying they don't. But there's only one reason that there would be a rancid smell of urine and pee bottles along with kettlebells in CIC. They were boarded. If somebody has a gun pointed at your face, you may pee on yourself. If you are being held hostage and you need to pee, you will probably pee in a bottle. Right? Because there's nothing else. I mean, they're trying to paint a picture of 350 sailors being completely oblivious to a rancid smell of urine prior to this. They're trying to paint it to where this is how it was on a normal basis. That makes no sense. Even if half the crew was a bunch of dirtbags, I mean, let's say a fourth of them. You can't even say that. Y'all, if you've ever been in the military, that doesn't happen. You can't have a fourth of your crew or your battalion or your squadron, whatever, be dirtbags. You're going to have maybe 5. And 5, I'm kind of pushing 5. I mean, I could still distinctly remember the 3 that we had. And everybody knew who they were. You know, like that, you can't have a whole entire crew and still be getting underway, carrying out integral missions. This wasn't a ship that was just like taking a midnight stroll around the South China Sea. They had just been pulled out of dry dock. They had just been off liberty for this situation. They weren't overworked, and like they tried to paint in the beginning, they're overworked and all this stuff. When come to find out, they were just on liberty the day before. None of it makes sense. And then we go on to the VMS in the captain's stateroom was broken. And it was cannibalized, this is his words, cannibalized for parts. Seriously? Can he really make that determination? Or can he just say that it was broken? Because saying that it was cannibalized for parts is saying that he knows what happened prior to, and he wasn't on the ship. This rear admiral was not on the ship. He was just the man that went through the ship after the collision and took notes. So you can't take, whenever you are doing any type of forensic situation, you write down what you see, not what you perceive or what you think happened. Okay, in the captain's cabin, VMS unworkable or broken or smashed glass, whatever. You write down facts. You don't write, it was cannibalized for parts. How do you know that? Did you go and look at other systems and match those parts to the captain's VMS? I highly doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it. Because that doesn't make any sense. Because there's not a part number on every single part. And so that is just jumping to conclusions. So there's only one reason that they put out this super secret report. That's to cover their tracks yet again. Another inconsistency with the VMS in the captain's stateroom was not working. They have this captain trying to push him to make a deal, but the captain finally said no deal. He's pushing it to captain's mast or court martial, whatever. Because I think he realizes he's not going to give in. I am 99.9% sure this ship was boarded, the captain was taken hostage, the watchstanders were taken hostage, the captain was beat the hell up because it explains his injuries. The collision doesn't explain his injuries. And then for them to say that he was sleeping, but yet he couldn't call the bridge and all this. Well, if he was sleeping, of course he couldn't call the bridge. Like, there was just all these inconsistencies. I mean, I would have to do an hour video to do all that. If you want to read all of the inconsistencies on the other thing that I just posted, just pause it and go back and read all the inconsistencies. There's only one reason. And they're covering this up. They have a laser. They were shooting down the North Korean missiles. Chinese didn't like it. They rammed the ship. Killed 7 of our sailors. We didn't heed that warning, which was a pretty freaking big warning. Then they had the Mccain out there. The Mccain was out there doing the same thing. I don't believe that they were boarded because, they could have been, but we don't have enough information to say that. I feel that the Mccain was just a second warning, and that cost 10 of our sailors their lives. And this has now become very personal to me, not only because I was in the Navy, but because I have made friends with some of these parents. And they want answers. Many of them can't talk. They're supposed to keep everything quiet. At this point, it's not for national security. They're just smearing the sailors. And then you go to this article right here. How come the Filipino ship had to pay the U.S. Navy so much money if it was indeed our fault, like they say? Well, that's questionable. And then if we had such undedicated, just out of control sailors, why would they have kettlebells working out while they're on watch? Sounds like they're trying to keep themselves up and healthy and strong and pretty damn dedicated. Okay, this is the article that I'm getting this from, and I'll put a link below so you can read it all, but I want to focus on a few other parts where it says, Ford's investigation pointed out a disturbing pattern of watchstanders failing to follow standard orders from the captain and excess, even when the warship was transiting potentially dangerous waters. They are trying to smear this captain. And then it talks about right here where it says, not to mention radio transmission laced with profanity and unprofessional humor. Seriously? Where would, that is just a smear campaign. I mean, where's the evidence? And sailors curse. This is just a blatant smear campaign, and it's ridiculous. But then we have right here where they are exhausted sailors with little time to train and complete critical certifications. Is that so? Let's take a look at some pictures. So I just went to their Facebook page and looked at things prior to this incident happening. This is one I want to focus on. Over the past few weeks, this happened right before the incident. Well, like a month before. Over the past few weeks, engineering department and damage control petty officers have been working tirelessly to successfully complete the shipboard damage control material assessment. It's a rigorous inspection of shipboard damage control equipment and personnel to ensure operational readiness. You can't even make this stuff up. It's all right here. I mean, this is insane. Well, it might have been a little bit prior to the incident, but these are other ones that happened right prior. See, this is also damage control training right here. This one was right before. It was in March. And every week they would post these, and I mean, these people aren't staging pictures. This is actually what it looks like during work hours. This is another key situation. The Secretary of Defense, when they come into a region, they go to the best ship. That's just how it is. That's how it always has been. They would not have gone to this ship if it was some kind of piece of crap, urine smelling tin can waiting for a collision. When they come into port, they don't have like time to go meet all of the ships. So usually the fleet chooses one of their best ships for the Secretary of Defense or someone else, you know, that comes into town for that ship to be like the welcoming party. And they chose the Fitzgerald. So smearing these sailors is pretty freaking disgusting. Pretty sure a child could come up with a better story than this that would leave out smearing the sailors. But that's the route they want to go. So I guess that's the route that I'm going to have to debunk, which we've been doing. It saddens me that this is continuing, and now just recently we had the captain of, or one of the captains or whatever in China essentially admit to ramming the ships, or wanting to ram ships. I mean, it's all in our face, and I guess that's why they're trying to cover it up, to make it not look bad that the Chinese are actually attacking our Navy's ships. This is bad. And it's sad. So, to all the family and friends, the ones that lost people in these collision incidences, my thoughts and prayers are for you. And bravo Zulu to every single one of you sailors that helped to save your ships. You did very well, and I would be proud to call you my shipmate. You'll have a wonderful day. Like, share, subscribe.